Good morning and welcome back to another episode here on P2P Empire. Today I'm in Vilnius, Lithuania, and I'm about to visit PeerBerry, a P2P lending platform where you can invest mainly in short-term loans. As I've been already visiting a few P2P marketplaces in the recent days, I know exactly what to look out for and what questions to ask in order to evaluate whether my investments on PeerBerry are safe. So the main goal for me today is to learn more about the risk management to be able to better evaluate my position on PeerBerry. If you're following this channel, you know that I've been investing on PeerBerry for almost 4 years now with quite a significant amount of money. So it's in my personal interest to check on my investments, and I'll be sharing my impressions with you during that process. Just a quick disclaimer here, this video is not sponsored, all the costs are covered by P2P Empire. However, if you would like to support our project, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/P2P-Empire or also become a member to get access to exclusive contents, which is not going to be shared here on YouTube. Alright, so the CEO is actually going to pick me up on his way to work, which is quite nice since I don't need to take a cab. Hey! Hey, good morning. Hi.
Okay.
Hi. Hey. Jakub, nice to meet you. Hi. Hi Rita. Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Hello everyone, welcome to PeerBerry. My name is Rita Simonavičiūtė, I am Head of Marketing and Communications, and I will show you today our office and people who are working with me here together. Let's make a quick office tour. This way we have office kitchen and some rest zone. Here is our main meeting room. Here we are holding internal meetings and business meetings with our business partners. Here is Julia, she is an administrator of Aventus Group head office in Lithuania. These two rooms belong to PeerBerry. So hello guys. Here we have Arūnas Lekavičius, CEO of PeerBerry, Brigita and Mante. Ladies are responsible for operations like deposits, withdrawals, activation of new loans. Ingrida used to work in Ukraine, and after the war started, she relocated to Lithuania and is coordinating business questions from here. Let's go to meet another colleagues. This is my room and my roommates. Victor, our CTO. Victor has created our system from scratch, so he is working longer than PeerBerry operates. Anna is responsible for PeerBerry system development and app development. Here is Kotrina, the head of client support. And over there, near the window, is my place. Here we have Aventus Group employees. Mike, IT guy from Aventus Group. Andrei Pshenichny, CEO of Credit 7 Ukraine. Here we have small Aventus gym for those who like to make some sport during or after working hours. Ilona, our financial analyst. Rolandas and Tomas, IT employees of Aventus Group. Aventus Group CEO Andrėjus Trofimovas, the man in constant action. It is very rare opportunity to see him not speaking. Here we have legal department. Tadas, hello Tadas. Tadas is PeerBerry lawyer and compliance officer, and Milda is working on Aventus Group side, Aventus Group lawyer. Vitoldas is Aventus Group chief financial analyst, and Irina is also working here. Irina is CFO of Aventus Group. She is on vacation right now. In this small meeting room, Justinas is working. He is responsible for one of business directions of Aventus Group. And here are Aventus Group accounting. Hello ladies, Audra and Olga. So, it was a pleasure for me to introduce our office. If you find yourself in Vilnius, just call or visit us for a coffee.
After a short office tour, I sat down with the team and PeerBerry ran me through their latest events that impacted the platform's operations. We talked about how investors reacted as the war in Ukraine started and how the platform is repaying the debt to investors through the group guarantee agreement. The goal of my visit was to get more insights into the operations of PeerBerry. During my trip to various P2P lending platforms, I learned that the quality of data that the platform has access to directly impacts the risk associated with your investment. While talking to the CEO, Arūnas Lekavičius, Aventus, I learned that he has access to the entire portfolio of the lending companies under the Aventus Group trademark. Arunas is monitoring the performance of the loans daily.
So, for example, Polish, companies. On daily basis, I'm monitoring portfolio, and this is interesting information because, for example, data of yesterday. We see that with 0-day delays, it means that all loans are current without delays. We have portfolio 21.5 million euros. I'm checking how much interest I paid yesterday, how the obligation to investor exact sum of today.
On a daily basis?
On daily basis, every company. I can choose groups, companies by time, by delay, how much current, how much late loans by days, etc., etc.
The platform has solid reporting, allowing them to analyze the portfolio from various angles to understand its performance.
And it's really good for us because we have all data on daily basis. So I immediately can check end results and how we're performing. For example, KPIs of this Kazakhstan company, I see that portfolio now is a bit decreasing, but I know reason that we sold part of the portfolio because we are selling bad portfolios. And now it's what is surprising from Aventus side that percent which we are receiving for bad portfolios is really good. It's approximately 35-40%.
Of the bad portfolio that you're selling. Selling bad portfolios is a procedure that I have learned about already during my visit to Cream Finance's headquarters in Riga. This process is an efficient way to improve the portfolio quality if the expected recovery rate through in-house debt collection is lower than the offer from a collection agency.
This is the collection by buckets, how much we are receiving, etc. Cash flow report. It means how much we issued loans, how much we received back from loans, so I can see dynamic of it.
You have basically access to the entire portfolio of the company, not just the part that is listed here on
That's absolutely full.
The benefit for investors is that you have access to all the data because on other P2P marketplaces, let's say, the lenders barely give access to the entire loan, almost like never give access to the entire loan book to the P2P marketplace. Having access to the entire portfolio gives a much better picture of the loan book than just reviewing the performance of the loans listed on PeerBerry. What's worth mentioning, however, is that Aventus is not the only company offering loans on PeerBerry. The reporting quality of other lenders on PeerBerry might vary.
A bit different situation is with Go and Go. I'm receiving 2 times per week. Because we still do not have such option like Aventus, but we are working on that.
Receiving loan performance reports twice a week is still much better than getting quarterly reports, which may be the case on some of the other marketplaces. I was also wondering what the best performing loans on PeerBerry are. Obviously, you have quite a big variety of companies on PeerBerry that are listing loans in various markets. The older the company, typically, the better the loan quality. I would think, right? Which one is the best performing portfolio of loans on PeerBerry right
Polish companies. That's not a question. Because default rate of Polish companies right now it's approximately only 5%. If we talk about Kazakhstan, it's almost 10%. Vietnam at the beginning of operation and first year of operation we had quite big risk, but we changed it a lot during this period, and now also we have approximately 11% of default rate.
But the default rate is not as important if you can make enough profits to cover it, right?
Yeah.
Getting insights into various lending markets is essential as you can better understand the risks when investing in those portfolios. You should note that the further the market from Europe, the higher the risk. However, emerging markets come with various risk factors that you can offset with increased profitability. One of the risks to consider in exotic countries is the regulatory risk. What about regulation? When I talk to other platforms, regulatory risk is something everybody is looking at. Now you are expanding, or Aventus Group is expanding, and also in Asian countries. Yeah. How does the regulation look like, for instance, in let's say Vietnam again?
In Vietnam, we or Aventus do not have such a license like lending company. There are some other options how we are performing and working. It's a bit risky, for example, but other companies working the same way.
Yeah, of course.
So
you see it as like an opportunistic market.
Yeah.
Do you have like any expectations about upcoming regulation or APR caps or something that you need to follow in Vietnam?
At the moment, no. We're also working with head of Vietnam on daily basis and talking. And at the moment, there are no upcoming some changes. This is the reason why. And Avant is opening another company in Vietnam.
When it comes to investing in emerging markets, one of the challenges for any lender is to obtain quality information about the borrowers. This is crucial as every lender has to build a scorecard for borrowers. A scorecard represents a list of characteristics that the borrower must fulfill to get a loan. This is essential as it directly impacts the default rate and hence the profitability of the portfolio. So I was wondering about the quality of data that lenders have access to in emerging markets. Is the quality of the data that you use
of course.
better in Kazakhstan?
Yeah, of course, because in Kazakhstan you have some databases, some credit bureaus, etc. So in Kazakhstan you're receiving official some data, not only from phones, from statements, or etc. So, but when you're receiving official data from credit bureaus, you can also issue bigger amounts to the customers. So this is the reason.
I was also curious about what other factors does PeerBerry take into account when evaluating the country risk. How do you evaluate the country risk? Is that one of the factors you keep in mind when you list a new loan originator on PeerBerry?
Yeah, of course, because you can see that for such companies or countries like Kazakhstan and Vietnam, we are paying bigger interest rate to investors because there are, as you know, currency risk, also another factors of the countries where it's not some regulation can be changed immediately, let's say. Or for example, we had in Kazakhstan such situation that it was like a holiday for clients to pay for the loans. So there are some risks. So we discussing with partners and we deciding to pay a bit bigger interest rates for such countries.
Investors should also realize that you kind of offset the risk with higher profitability in those markets, right?
Yes.
So that's typically the case in those emerging markets.
Yes. You know, when you going to such a market like Kazakhstan, like Vietnam, you should earn more because there are some risks. That's for sure.
So if you're investing in loan portfolios in emerging markets, you should not accept a lower rate than 12% per year given the current market environment. Despite investing in legitimate businesses, P2P lending is not risk-free, and here is why.
You never know in these countries what can happen. So it's you can't predict that, for example, after a week there are some issues. But this is the reason why we are not lending more or financing more than 45% of
the entire portfolio in a dedicated country.
Yes.
With one loan originator or the whole group?
We're calculating it for full group. But actually, if we're talking about startups, we must reach, for example, minimum 2,000 or 150,000 euros in stable European markets portfolio. Good portfolio, it means. And we're starting with really small amounts to provide investment opportunities to investors. For example, we at the moment receiving a lot of requests from investors. Give us more Romanian loans, but we just can't give because there are, as I mentioned before, some at the moment things with credit bureaus need to connect, need to work out good scorecard, etc. That we can trust in this company, trust in these results, and we can give opportunities to invest for investors.
Aventus Group is obviously expanding globally in a lot of emerging markets, and you already mentioned that you have some kind of KPIs that you look at before you start listing the loans on PeerBerry. One of them was the good portfolio amount.
Yes. This is the main factor.
Okay.
Because, for startups, I mean, because good portfolio, it means that you can turn off immediately issuing loans, for example, for this company. And from good portfolio, during 30 days, you're receiving all money back to accounts. So it means we can transfer money to PeerBerry and PeerBerry to investors.
The lending companies are lending money from investors to increase loan originations in their markets, which means that they apply certain leverage. Naturally, as an investor, you want to make sure that the company can repay the debt. This is typically done through skin in the game, where the lender invests a certain percentage of money into a loan and hence shares the risks with investors. Let's see how PeerBerry's lenders do it. You mentioned that there is obviously a leverage, right? For every loan. What's the current skin in the game for lenders?
We're not using like skin in the game, but from portfolio, from some which is landed or, for example, Polish company, one of the Polish company has obligation to investor 5 million, we must have reserve of 10% of the sum.
So you have 500K sitting in a bank account in order to facilitate buyback guarantees or withdrawals from investors, etc.
Right. We're keeping. And it's important. It's we're not receiving this money before we need it. We're keeping them, not PeerBerry keeping them. So I'm not telling it like it is skin in the game. You know, for example, other platforms issue at loan originator 100 euros. We listed 90 euros. That's not the case in our scenario, but we are doing it separately as we talk.
One of the most significant risks for P2P investors is that the lender will default. PeerBerry offers a group guarantee for all its loan originators. So I asked the CEO how the group guarantee works in the background.
For example, mother company Aldega of Ukraine companies, Kazakhstan companies, etc. So Kazakhstan company earning profit, for example, 200,000 euros this month. With 200,000 euros coming to Aldega, and Aldega repaying to, for example, one of the chosen company, for example, Avantus Ukraina, to investors. And that's it.
Many investors are interested in the progress and prognosis to repay the war-affected loans. So I asked Arunas to share his thoughts on the current situation.
We are performing at the moment okay, I think. And if plan was repay these affected loans 1.5 million, 1,200,000 per month, we already paid more than 3 million. And we're planning repay it right now during, 12 months, if everything goes according plan. But it's enough,
Yeah, we'll see about that. But obviously, investors are aware that you are having still a large, the biggest part of the portfolio was Russia, Ukraine. Now you are kind of repaying it from other markets. However, Avantus Group is still has a lot of markets around Russia, which is now considered to be a much higher risk than perhaps before the war. So the logical question is, if let's say something goes on in non-NATO countries like Kazakhstan or Moldova, and the war or the conflict expands in those regions, or there's going to be some sanctions towards those countries, it is going to affect the portfolio in those countries to a certain extent, right?
Yes.
What would happen how would that impact the buyback guarantee and the processes that you have currently in place? Do you think that you could still withstand the pressure that you get?
I think that yes, and when we're checking asset and equity of Avantus company, Avantus Group, we see that we can easily repay full debt of all. We can repay full portfolio to investors, actually by equity. But if, for example, some bombs came to Poland, to Kazakhstan, we can't do this. That's for sure, because you lose everything.
Yeah.
And these banks are closed. No one knows. For example, right now in Ukraine, Avantus has in accounts approximately 5 million euros already. And short-term loans debt is approximately 6 million euros. So if we can take this money, we can repay immediately.
Yeah.
If, for example, but we at the moment we don't know. Maybe when war was finished and in the world it was such cases that just country cutting off with all funds and we're saying in all accounts will be no more than 100,000 euros, and that's it. and you don't have this money.
As you can hear, PeerBerry has put plans in action to repay the war-affected loans without the possibility of accessing funds in the country. If Aventus can retrieve anything, they will be able to repay investors earlier, but that's not in the company's hands since the country is still at war as we are recording this video. Many investors are also wondering why the proportion of their war-affected loans doesn't match the statistics on PeerBerry's website. So I asked the CEO to provide additional clarification. When it comes to repayments of war-affected loans, how does it work? Like you already explained that like one lender covers for the other one. How do you, does it go like, so it's not going like, let's say those lenders in Poland are now covering this amount of money for the Ukrainian or for the Russian portfolio. There is some investors in the community who say, you know, I have not recovered like even 5%, while PeerBerry is saying they paid off 25% of the debt, right?
The main reason that at the beginning of the war, what we done, we started to repay old ones. It means all loans which had the biggest late percentage. It means that oldest one we repaid, and the biggest amount was in these loans. And only after, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, we decided that it should be repayments like proportionally. And after that, this is the difference between investors.
So currently, all the funds that you allocate for repayments for war-affected loans, they're all distributed equally according to the shares of investors in those particular loans in the countries.
Right.
The investment sentiment on PeerBerry has recovered quickly, and many investors are struggling to keep their money invested due to the lower availability of loans. Hence, I asked Arunas whether investors could look forward to some of the new investment opportunities in the future. My community, either people who are emailing or engaging with our YouTube videos, they would like to have a little bit of a broader diversification on PeerBerry. Currently, like there are a few countries, but they would like to have maybe even more options. I know that Andreas, the CEO of Aventus Group, he kind of stopped any development plans until the situation is stable. Do you have something in the pipeline, let's say for the upcoming year, which could probably be another way to diversify for investors?
Actually, we are not planning to expand our group partners. For example, we have Go, we have Baltic Lit Home and Aventus, because we have good experience with them. But from Aventus side, I would say, but I know that it's changing quite fast. And on this weekend, I discussed it with Andreas few times. We are planning some new markets already, as Tadas mentioned. Czech Republic company, we building Vietnam second company. We are launching already. We with small volumes, but we working in Kenya, in India already. So I think after summer we will have some new locations in PeerBerry. Also from Go side, on this week we will decide, but probably we will have a leasing product in Latvia.
During my visit, I also had a chance to talk to Viktor Kamyahin, the CTO and the first developer who started building PeerBerry from scratch. We have had a very insightful discussion about all the technical aspects of the platform and its vision for the future. So that's been my visit of PeerBerry. Let me now share with you some of my impressions. Overall, the team is very professional. The platform is extremely efficient. From a technological standpoint, I think they are 2 or 3 years ahead of most of the competitors, which I will expand on in just a little bit. Let's talk about some of the strengths and perhaps also some of the weaknesses. Strengths is definitely the reliability and their interest to protect investors' money. This is really unique here, and they support all of this with really robust technological features, not just stuff that you see on the website, but also in the backend. In fact, PeerBerry is the only platform I have met so far that has access to the data of the lending company, but not just the loans that are listed on the platform, but to the entire loan book. And that's quite unique. So PeerBerry CEO can see every minute how the loan book of a particular lender is performing, which is an amazing tool for risk management, and it increases the quality of your investments on PeerBerry, as other platforms don't have live data to the entire loan book. Even the income marketplace, with their way how they mirror the portfolio performance, they don't have access to everything, just to the loans that are listed on income. Now let's talk about some of the weaknesses that you should be perhaps aware of. Obviously, the diversification of your portfolio is limited to only the countries in which you can invest on a particular platform. So if your goal is to build a globally diversified portfolio, you should perhaps invest on multiple platforms. Also, majority of PeerBerry's business partners are exposed to countries which are currently at war. This obviously increases the risk of your investments. You should, however, know that before the war started, the lending companies that were operating in those war-affected countries were mostly profitable and well established in their markets. So if you were looking at the profitability of those lending companies, it was really a no-brainer to also invest into their product. Of course, the current situation has changed somehow. I would say that the war in Ukraine is a black swan event, which could really impact any platform if that risk materializes. However, I think that PeerBerry has done a good risk mitigation and good crisis management, and that they will eventually repay all the loans back to investors through the group guarantee agreement, which is working quite well so far. Overall, I would say that PeerBerry is an amazing platform, one of my favorites. I've been investing with them for multiple years now, and I'm not really disappointed by anything they have done so far. Right, the opposite. I think their team is very professional and the platform is quite reliable. Of course, there are some challenges they are facing right now, but eventually that will resolve as well. If you would like to be notified about the latest events on PeerBerry, navigate to p2pempire.com and read our PeerBerry review or bookmark our news section. Also, if you think that PeerBerry is a good fit for you, you can also use the link in the description below and get yourself a 0.5% cashback bonus on your investments. If you would like to see more content like this, subscribe and also hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.